What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday today. Thanks for tuning back in. Yeah, happy Wednesday to you guys. I just got done doing a meditation, and I really needed that. I feel a lot calmer now. Feel a lot more relaxed, and so especially I need to be a little more relaxed. I'm still hyped from last night watching that Warriors Grizzlies game, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. Ja Morant, man, he is unbelievable. But yeah, I'm gonna get that in a second. But again, welcome to the show and welcome back. If you've already been following, or excuse me, watching this, uh, and like I said, everybody's having a good Wednesday today. It's a little cold today, so welcome to Ohio. One day you wake up, it's cold and it's cloudy. Then the next day it's thunderstorm. Then the next day it's snowing. Then the next day it's 85 and sunshine. So it is what it is. But as long as you're waking up and everything, having a good day and you know, making the best of every day with a positive attitude. Who's better than you on a Wednesday? You know what I mean? And so yeah, man, hope everybody's having a good day today. But like I was saying, I'm still hyped from that game last night, man. Warriors Grizzlies. Ja Morant goes off for 47 points, like 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and one of the best performances I've seen in a long time. And the reason why I say that is because I mean this dude just took the game over in the fourth quarter with about 3-4 minutes to go. It's a close game. It's back and forth. Golden State never led the game until about the beginning of the fourth quarter. Their bench is outplaying the Grizzlies bench, and all and behold, here comes John Morant, and man, that's the last I think it was 3 to 4 minute stretch. This dude, every time they had the ball, it was him up the top of the key, ISO, and you knew it was coming. And they could not stop this guy. This guy just single handedly just said, "Give me the ball. I'm gonna close this out," and he did that. And it's one of the best performances I've seen. Like I said, in a long time. I mean, just I mean, Clay Thompson couldn't guard him. Andrew Wiggins was on him for a little bit. Jordan Poole went on him, and then he made Jordan Poole fall. Hit this crazy in this little, uh, you know, this crazy move he gave Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole just fell down to the floor because he lost his balance, and then he just hits this little floater in the lane, little jump hook, and it's just like, man. And then he's hitting his three ball, and when John Morant's hitting the three ball, it's a wrap. It's just a wrap. You can't guard that guy. I, I don't know how you do guard him. And I've been watching Job throughout the year, but really in these playoffs. And obviously, he's been a buzz in the league all year. He's was had a phenomenal year, or possibly MVP candidate. And this dude, I, I was sitting there with my dad last night, and I'm watching John Morant. He's putting on this show, and you know that performance reminded me of if you're a Cavs fan like me, or if you follow LeBron. Uh, that reminded me with the LeBron Pistons game a little bit. Not quite as good because LeBron scored the last 25 points, but it was pretty damn similar. And John Morant, that performance he put on last night reminded me of when LeBron was in year, gosh, maybe 4 or 5. It was in 2007. It was the year they went to the finals against the Spurs, and he just single handedly willed them past the Pistons. He scored like I think 25 of the last 27 points or something crazy like that. It was unbelievable. One of the best games. I mean, one of the best performances of all time. And that game last night was kind of similar. And I think I saw a stat too that I think John Morant now has I got it right here. Multiple 45 plus point games before the age of 23. The only two guys to do that were LeBron and Kobe. And so obviously that's great company to be in, and this kid is definitely on the way to being maybe the best player in the league one day. He's that good. And but I'm sitting there watching last night with my dad, and I'm sitting there watching. Okay, yeah, this dude is definitely top 8. He's top 8 to 10 player. And then after that fourth quarter, I'm sitting there and I'm like, top 8 to 10, that might be light. And I'm like, this guy might be top 5, which I don't think it's crazy to ask, have to say that. I mean, look what he's doing right now. Go watch the tape. Go look at the numbers and the impact he's having on the winning. I mean, that team is not. I don't know. That team even makes the seventh, eighth seed in the playoffs without him. And that's a good team. They got some nice young players: Jaron Jackson, Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain, Jones, uh, Steven Adams. They got some nice players, but you take Ja Morant off that team, they're nearly not. They're, in my opinion, they're not as effective at all. And so, I, you talk about top five players. I made a list. I said, okay, there's four guys. In my opinion, again, this is all my opinion. There's four guys, in my opinion, that are like I call them like the core four of the league. And I have LeBron, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and I think when he's healthy, he didn't play this year, Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, he's a great two-way player, Finals MVP. I think he's one of the four best players in the world when healthy. And so again, LeBron, Durant, Giannis, Kawhi. Okay, so that's the four. Now we're at the five spot, and I start listing off names. Okay, Harden, Embiid, Curry, um, Luca, Jokic. Okay, so that's five guys. And the only other player that I would get is maybe Luca. But right now, I wouldn't take Luca over Ja Morant. I just wouldn't. Not after what I saw, not what I've been seeing lately. I would not. And it makes me think. And some people say, "Well, what about Steph?" Okay, Steph is obviously more all time. He's the greatest shooter of all time, and his resume is obviously much more than Ja Morant's. He's obviously older, but Steph's a MVP, two-time MVP, three-time champion, greatest shooter of all time, and the list goes on. But right now, I don't think I would take Steph Curry over Ja Morant right now. Don't. I mean, I look at it like this: there's one thing Steph Curry does better than Ja Morant. That's shoot the ball. Okay, well, Steph Curry shoots the ball better than anybody in the league. He's the greatest shooter of all time. So, but he's not a better finisher. He's not a better. Uh, he doesn't have the athleticism. He's not a better defender. Ja Morant, he makes some hell of a these cross court passes he's making. He can drop some dimes. This dude can pass the ball. He rebounds. He can push it out in transition. And Steph does a lot of those things. Steph's a great passer. Steph's a great transition. Uh, Steph's a Hall of Famer. But right now, based on this year, I think Ja Morant was top five. And maybe if we're talking about this year, this season alone, obviously Kawhi Leonard, I would scratch him off my list because he didn't play. He's probably top three. I mean, based on this season alone, he's top three. But if I had to rank players when fully healthy in the league, I might put him at five. I I don't. I mean, again, Luca's great. Luca's a hell of a passer, probably a better shooter. And he's bigger, but I don't think. I think to me, what separates guys is what you saw last night. 40, a big game. You're down 1-0. You have to win that game. You can't go on the road 2-0 to Golden State. You're probably not going to win. Your chances really go down. And so, what does he do? He comes out, scores 47 points, and wills his team to a victory. That's greatness. That's special. That's box office. That's guys that you pay. I mean, he's the kind of player that when he's in town, you go pay the ticket to watch in person because he's just that special. And I, again, I would have him at number five right now. To me, right now, Ja Morant is top five in the league. And after what I saw last night, it just made it even more solidified that more for me. And so, and I think like I saw Jalen Rose said this morning on ESPN that he's a superstar and he's got. I mean, the dude's it. I mean, he is it. He is a superstar for sure. He's kind of like, one of my favorite players growing up was my mom and dad's favorite players. So I got accustomed to watching him very young was Allen Iverson. And Allen Iverson obviously was, like a one-man show. Sometimes like just give him the ball, get the hell out of the way, let him do his thing. Box office, entertaining, swag, the whole thing. Ja Morant's pretty much the same type of. He's doing the same thing right now. He's in Memphis. They have some good players around him, but there's no all-star on the team with him. Uh, he is the star of the team, obviously, and he's just changing the whole franchise. He's changing the whole city, everything in Memphis. And he might have this team. They got a shot now because Golden State got dismantled last night by this guy. They could not stop this guy. So I'm interested to see how Golden State adjusts to try to slow him down because he is the problem, obviously. And there's not many guys that I've seen. I mean, Golden State for the last uh, gosh, I mean, 6, 7 years now since 2015. They've been a great team. Now they had a couple down years when injuries and Durant left, and a lot of that was, like I said, injuries and blah yada yada. But other than that, they've been a dominant team, and they won 3 championships. Uh, they play great defense, great offense. They're just a very well balanced team, and they play the right way. But there have been some guys that have really gave it to him. A couple LeBron's gave it to him. Kyrie's gave it to him. Uh, I guess you could say Kawhi Leonard, even though Durant didn't play in that series. Kawhi was still great. Trying to think. I think that's about it. I mean, very few guys have been able to really pick apart Golden State like that. And just because they always have a lot of great defenders, Iguodala, Draymond, Clay. I mean, those three alone right there, that's a hell of a line of defense. And so what Ja Morant did last night, I mean, he completely just obliterated that defense in the fourth quarter. I mean, they could not stop him at all. And I don't say just the fourth quarter, throughout the whole game. And he had that play. Well, first off, I mean, let's start with the play from the jump. His first bucket. He's on I think he's on the left side of the floor, and he does this little between the legs back to himself dribble and just step back and hits a three, and that got his night going. And then after that, it was on. I mean, the play I was about to talk about was before the half, at the right around towards the buzzer beater at the halftime. He comes down. He's got Clay ISO 1-on-1, goes left, spins back middle, and just Draymond comes over to help, and he does this crazy ass acrobatic layup in traffic, and it would look like when he was floating in the air like that and made that layup. I looked at my dad, and I've watched old Jordan highlights, and I was looked at my dad. I was like, "That's like Jordan-esque." Be able to fly in the hang time in the air, the crazy layup. I mean, it was Jordan-esque. I was like, man, this dude right here. And it was all night long. And he just never let up the gas. He never let off the gas. And that's why I like him a lot, because he doesn't let off the gas. And so I'm curious to see what happens the rest of this series. They got to split. Memphis does in Golden State. They got to split. They can't go back home 3-1. Doesn't mean they're completely out of it, but they're against a team like Golden State that's been there. They got to win one of these games. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost game 3, just because you're traveling across the country. Uh, you're traveling across the country. You just came off an emotional game 2. And Golden State to be fired to be home. So I would expect them to lose game 3. Could be wrong, but game 4, Ja Morant's going to have to come out and do another one of these 40, 45 plus point games if they want to win. And that's just my opinion. And I'd be interested to see if he can do it, because the guys that really elevate themselves become the great players are guys that could do things like that. And they do it multiple times in a series. So if he can come out and win one of these games in Golden State, who knows? Maybe win both. You never know. If they can't, I mean, right now they cannot stop this guy. So now I don't think that you're not going to stop him regardless, but you could try to slow him down, maybe frustrate him a little bit, maybe get him to turn the ball over more. But if he keeps doing what he did last night, it's going to be a long series for Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins. And and whoever else has to go out there and guard him. Good luck. But yeah, I need Ja Morant. He's got to go probably, like I said, 40, 45 plus points. Same thing about 8 rebounds, 8 assists again. And one of these games, he's got to will his team to win one of these games on the road if they want a chance in the series. And so we'll see what happens, man. Trying to think. We'll see what happens. I need some water. Gotta hydrate. But anywho, another thing that I'm excited for this weekend is UFC 274. And some of you might not know, believe it or not, I am a UFC fan. I became a fan in the last 4 years. I'm still learning the sport. Obviously, I've never done any of that, but don't plan on it. That stuff is wild. These dudes, this mixed martial arts stuff is crazy. That's why I like watching it. But no, I became a fan 4 years ago, and I'm excited to watch this weekend because the guy that the first fight I ever watched became one of my favorite fighters is Tony Ferguson. And the first fight I ever watched was Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis. It was on the McGregor Khabib card when the brawl happened after the fight, that big fight with Khabib and McGregor. Well, the co-main event of that fight was Pettis and Ferguson. And I remember my dad bought that fight, and I never really watched it before. And I came into the room, he had it on in the living room on the TV, bought the pay-per-view. Remember I sat down, and there's this co-main event. This guy named Tony Ferguson and Anthony Pettis. And at the time, I'm oblivious to the sport. I never really watched it, got into it. And I started watching this fight, and I'm like, man, this stuff is crazy. And then I keep watching it, and I'm like, damn, these dudes, they really go at it. And then they're bleeding. And then they get to the point in that fight, in that same fight, it gets to a point where both of them are just drenched in blood. I mean, they're just beating the hell out of each other. It was a war. And it got to a point in the fight. It was one of my favorite moments in anything I've ever watched in sports. They stopped. The ref cleaned them up, and they both just kind of looked at each other and just smiled, like, "All right, let's get back to kicking each other's ass." And I remember I just got hooked. That fight, right? That's still to this day, that's my favorite fight I ever watched, just because of the energy. And Ferguson won that fight, I believe, in like late second round, third round. I could be wrong. I can't remember how many rounds that went. I don't know if it was 3 or 5, but he won more towards the middle of the end of the fight. Really just put on a show, and I became a fan of Tony Ferguson because I liked his style. I liked his that from that fight on. Just his, I just like his style. I liked how gritty he is. He likes the dude. Just loves the hardest fights. You can tell he embraces that. Like he doesn't run from that. He loves the hard fights where he's just bleeding all over his face. He's just getting beat. He's sometimes he's taking punches, but he's delivered the punches well. But the way he moves around the ring too, he's just like real. It's different the way he moves in the ring. One minute he looks like he's gonna kick you, then he's sliding across the ring. Does these weird movements he has. He's a showman as well, and his cardio is his that guy never gets tired. That's why they call him the alien. I mean, that dude never gets tired ever. And he could run all day long. And so I'm excited to watch Tony, and he's going up against Michael Chandler. I know Chandler's favored, and then another one of my favorite fighters, my favorite female fighter, Thug Rose. Rose is fighting against gosh, I can't remember. Let me pull it up real quick. But I know she's favored. And if I could find it, Rose is fighting against Carla Esparza. I believe I said that right. And she is favored. And then the main event, you got Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. Charles is favored there. You got old Donald Cowboy Cerrone kicking it off against Joe Lauzon. I don't know who this guy is. And then the fourth match, let's see. The second one after that is a couple guys, international guy. I don't know how to say their name. St. Pruise, I think. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Mari, I don't know. Something. You guys know. Just go look it up. But anywho, I don't know those other two guys. No disrespect. But it might be a hell of a fight. But anywho, but I do know everybody knows Donald Cerrone. So I'll be interested to see old Donald Cerrone out there. But you got Tony, who's an underdog. Then you got Rose, his favored title fight. She's defending champ. And then Charles, defending champ. He's favored. So I can't wait to watch these fights. Like I said, I'm a big UFC fan. I don't watch every card because some cards I don't know some of the guys still. I'm just not really interested, or I don't have time. But when it is a card like this, oh, I'm definitely tuning in and I'm watching, and I'll be locked in. And I can't wait to watch. It's gonna be a great fight. I believe it's in Houston. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think it's in Houston, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take Oliveira until somebody beats him. Until somebody knocks him off, I'm not picking against him because his last two fights, whenever you thought he was out, he still comes back and he wins again. And so the guy, he's never out of it. I never seen somebody. I remember, was it 2 fights ago? So the last fight he beat Dustin Poirier. The fight before that against Chandler, Michael Chandler. If you go watch the first round of that fight, I mean, you thought he was done at one point. Chandler was, I mean, he was lighting this dude up. And this guy, I don't know how the hell he came back and won, but it was one of the best comebacks you'll see. And he ended up submitting him in the second round. And then the last fight against Poirier, he did one of the best submissions you'll ever see. He jumped on his back and then put him in a chokehold and just submitted him right there. And I remember I was like, damn, this dude's different. And he is different. He has great skill, just incredible skill, movement, athleticism. I mean, these guys are freaks. But I'm going to go with Charles. I'm going to go with Rose. You call me Homer because I like Rose. Uh, I became a fan of Rose when she knocked off the lady last year. I can't remember her name. It was the first card in front of a live crowd. I think it was 270 or 269. Well, I don't know what the hell it was, but it was the one in Jacksonville last year at the end of April, a year ago, almost, and a little over a year now. Damn. And she hit that girl at the kick and knocked and won the fight there right there. I remember I was like, and she was really emotional after the fight when Joe Rogan was interviewing her. It was a hell of a card and a lot of emotion in the arena. It was the first fight with all fans back. Great night, great card, but that was the best fight of the night, and I just became a fan of hers since then. I liked her energy, her style. Just she's very entertaining to watch. She's a great fighter, real smooth, and so I was like, and then she won her last fight and dominated that. And well, I'll say she dominated. Well, she took over towards the end of the fight and did what she needed to do. And but she made it. You could tell that she's the best fighter in her weight class right now. And so I'm going with her until otherwise. Till somebody beats her, I'm just gonna keep picking her. And so that's my pick for that. Now, as far as Chandler and Ferguson, the fight I'm kind of most intrigued by because I like Ferguson so much. Man, I see why Chandler's favored. He should be favored. Tony's lost his last 3 fights, and he didn't look that good in his last fight. He looked a little older. But you know what? I'm gonna go with an upset. There's always an upset. I'm gonna take Tony, just because Chandler likes to come out full blaze in the first round every fight, just swing for the fences, literally. And I just think that's going to work to Tony's advantage. I think Tony's just going to tire him out. Tony is good at dodging things, moving around. He's so slender, his movements. And I think he's just going to catch him off guard at some point after he starts to wear him down, get him tired about the, mid-second round, third round. And that's when Tony will probably get him. I think he's going to win on a submission. And so I'm going to go with Tony in the upset, believe it or not. And so that is, and then again, the other 2 fights, I don't know the other guys. I know Cerrone, but I don't know who he's going against. So I'm not going to give any take on that. So, but other than that, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's it. Just those 3. So, again, I can't wait to watch UFC this weekend. I'm excited. It's a great card. And the UFC is just incredible. I mean, with Dana White's build, I think outside of football, which is Kane, as far as entertainment and basketball, I think the UFC's third now. I mean, everybody I know, they're tuning in to watch every card. They're getting together, going to the bar, having people over like I do, or they just watch. And the UFC has become, It's an awesome sport and very entertaining, very electric, very exciting. And kudos to Dana White for building it to what it is. I mean, it's a must see TV draw now, and so I'm excited about that. And then to wrap up this, going on a little sports right here uh, today, and this is something that I've been talking about for a while now to people like my close friends or people in my family about LeBron James and him coming back to Cleveland. And then today, I'm sitting there, and on first take, it's all over the news now. Stephen A. Smith hints out that, hey, maybe the Lakers should trade LeBron James. And a lot of people are like, oh, wow, really? And obviously, that's going to catch a lot of attention. And to me, I'm not surprised because I think you could see this coming a mile away for a long time now. And there's always been a lot of rumors privately and just uh, even on just there's always been it's been rumored for a couple of years now, especially in the last during this past season. When the Lakers had their season that didn't go well at all. You really start to see things heat up, and I personally don't think Stephen A. would throw that out there. He's very calculated, uh, unless it was for a reason. And I think the problem right now is what really set it off was Phil Jackson is reportedly heavily involved in the coaching search for the Lakers, and it's pretty well known LeBron and Phil Jackson's tension throughout the years. They don't really like each other, and one time Phil Jackson called LeBron's people a quote posse, and LeBron's people took offense to that, and you know, I think that was in like 2016 when that happened. I remember listening to the radio. Yeah, Phil Jackson is not like LeBron and his people, and LeBron and his people made sure they told Phil Jackson, "We don't like you as well." And so, yeah, um, and so Phil being heavily involved. And this is the problem with the Lakers. The Lakers have way too many people involved. You got Phil Jackson now. You got the Ramesses, Kurt and Linda. You got Rob Pelinka. You got Magic Johnson still. You got who the hell else knows? There's like somebody else every day. The freaking electrician in LA is gonna be a consultant. Some random electrician or some dude off the street in out South LA. He's gonna be a consultant here real soon. Uh, it's just a lot of people involved with the Lakers, and I think that's why they're kind of chaotic, in my opinion. They look chaotic from the outside, and I think they're at a point now where another YouTuber I watch, Carcino for Life, he's reporting all year. His information has been. I mean, this guy he came out on his YouTube page about a month before the Russell Westbrook trade happened to the Lakers and predicted the exact trade that he heard from a source. He has sources, and he predicted the exact trade, player for player, pick for pick, and it came out a month later, just like he said. And he's reported other things before it came public. And now Carcino was saying on his page that you know Linda Rambis and all these people there, they don't really like LeBron, and uh, there's kind of just a little dysfunction going on behind the scenes. And now he hasn't said anything about LeBron or the Lakers trading LeBron or LeBron wanting out. But I think now you're slowly starting to see the seeds being planted with LeBron. You're starting to see the media pick up the headlines like Stephen A. What Stephen A. did today was another seed in the throwing it out there, and stirring the pot, as you could say. And in my opinion, you're going to start to see that start to ramp up more and more. Because when you look at the Lakers, if I'm the Lakers, I probably would move on from LeBron. And if I'm LeBron, I'd want the hell out of there anyways. I just think they've run their course with each other. Why they don't need each other anymore. I think it's best for both parties to part ways. And if I'm the Lakers, you're not going anywhere with this team. You got Anthony Davis, who can't stay healthy. Great player when healthy, but he can't stay healthy. Russell Westbrook, he is who he is. He's a great player. He's a future Hall of Famer. But he doesn't fit with LeBron. Never did. Never will. And he has a big ass contract that you can't trade. I mean, I don't know how you trade that contract. I mean, was it $45 million for next year? I mean, if I'm, there's some of the teams that were rumored possibly to take that contract were Indiana, maybe for a deal with Malcolm Brogdon or the Houston Rockets. If I'm Houston or Indiana, why would I bring in a 32, 33-year-old Russell Westbrook with a 45, I don't care if it's 1 year or not, with a $45 million contract when I'm supposed to be trying to rebuild around young players? To me, that makes no sense. And so I just don't see, how they trade Westbrook miraculously. I'm looking here. They have no draft picks. They're capped out. They're old. I mean, they kind of look like the other when LeBron left Miami, when LeBron left Cleveland the second time. It's kind of a similar situation. They're old, capped out, no picks, no future, no nothing. And so, if I'm LeBron and if I'm the Lakers, I would think I would part ways. And I don't think LeBron's going to request a trade. I think LeBron's playing the PR game a little bit, which is smart on his part. I don't think he really doesn't care if he rides out next year or not. Although, I mean, he's going in the year 20. He's going to be 38 in December. I don't think he has many years to just waste and give away. And the reason why I say it because I just don't see if he stays on this Lakers team. Okay, they get healthy. Maybe somehow they move Westbrook, but I just don't see how they can become this championship contender again, like a real legit team. Because the rest of the team they can't build. They don't have any assets. They don't have anything to really work with. And Malik Monk's probably going to leave and go get paid. So I really don't see where this team can go. I think it's over with. And so to me, if I'm LeBron, I think it's kind of going maybe how you might want it to go, which is have the Lakers come out and make the Lakers trade you away. And he had a no trade clause. I don't know if he still does or he doesn't. I think Stephen A said they wiped that out. So that could be what happened. But I mean, there's only very few teams that's going to pull the trigger for LeBron. I do think the Cavs will be one of them, and that's one of the teams Stephen A named. I'm sure LeBron, that's probably his number one choice is the Cavs. Maybe Miami. Um, and that's probably about it, to be honest with you. Although I don't know if LeBron would ever go back. If LeBron and Miami could ever fit again, because they didn't really, there was a lot of rift while he was there at his time in Miami with him and Pat Riley. And maybe they hashed that out throughout the years. I don't know. But it was reported there was some rift. But I just don't think Miami's the number one option. I think the Cavs and LeBron, it's heading towards a perfect marriage again, in my opinion. I mean, my gosh, one of his best friends, Brandon Weems, just got promoted to the assistant general manager. And so, I mean, he's fascinated by the youth. He loves Garland. It's a clutch client. Colin Sexton's a clutch client. Uh, he likes Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. The whole story of him and his hometown. To me, it's perfect. And I think when you look at the Cavs, that's what they need. They just need they're a player away from getting over the hump. And so, to me, LeBron James obviously is top 3 player of all time. He's that guy. And so, and he's coming off a year where he averaged, I think his highest scoring average of his career was like 29 or almost 30 points. He doesn't really need to come in and be the ball dominant player because they have Darius Garland. And so when you have a guy like Garland, he can control the offense, run the offense. LeBron could just go out there and play off the ball more. And I know he was talking in his exit interview after the season. He had talked about how he wanted to get to the free throw line more. And you watch him this year, he's become focusing more on the scoring, a lot more than. I mean, he's always been a great scorer, but I mean, he averaged almost 30 points this year for a reason because he was really his scoring has evolved. His shooting's probably the best it's ever been. He's become a really good shooter now. I know he wants to get the free throws down more. He said that, but you throw him under this Cavs team with young players, fresh legs. He doesn't have to carry the load as much because he's got these young, fresh legs around him. To me, it makes sense a whole lot. And if I'm LeBron, if he can come back and get this team, this young team, over the hump to another championship, I mean, I don't know what more you could say about the guy. To be honest, I don't. I mean, he's already a top three all time. Some people have number one. I have Jordan number one, but I mean, man, if this guy comes back and wins another championship, and gets this young team over the hump, uh, I don't know how anybody in any sport can top that on the way out the door, top out an exit from a great career. That would be something else. And so I think it would make sense. I do think it will happen eventually. Uh, if it doesn't happen this summer, I think when his contract's up, he probably will come back next summer. I mean, you kind of look to he's got a movie coming out next summer about growing up in Ohio. It's called Shooting Stars. I think they're filming it right now around Cleveland and Akron, and so uh, I think it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later, and that's what a lot of people are saying. So uh, we'll see what happens with that, but it's something to keep an eye on because whether he's in year 20 or not, or he's almost 38, if he moves, it's still a hell. It's one of the biggest, probably the biggest story in sports still, because number one, he'd be leaving LA, which is a big market, big brand, and he's coming back home, and again, and so to me, I think it's a perfect time. 20 years since he got drafted almost, and he comes back 20 years later and carries this young team over the hump. And so, like I said, we'll see what happens there. Uh, but it is something to keep an eye on as a sports fan. I know I'm excited about it. And I think after the draft, that's when you really start to see it ramp up more. You're going to start to see it put out in the headlines more. First, these shows like First Take, Undisputed. You're going to start to see it in the news world more. It's going to start to ramp up, get hotter and hotter. And like what Stephen A did today, that just makes it more, amplifies it more, and you're going to see it pick up more and more. And so I'm not surprised by all this. I kind of been saying this for a while. I've seen this coming, and so now we'll just watch it unfold. But so that's my sports take for the day. That's probably the longest sports talk I've ever done on this. So I need a drink of water after that. Man, sometimes when you're talking for a while, you start to lose your breath. Start to get out of breath. You're sitting here, you need some water, you got cotton mouth. It's like, damn. So, but it's all good. But anyways, so the last thing I want to talk about today is, I'm going a little deeper now, a little more. You know, on this show, I've talked a lot about anxiety, my own journey, and just life in general, the Lord, and all those type of things. And I wanted to share something with you guys that I've been thinking about lately in my own life, and just kind of something I see in general. And it's something that I've kind of been talking about on this show for the last, I mean, almost all the episodes now. But today it's more about contentment. And what I mean by contentment is, you know, I'm primarily aiming more spiritually in this, being content. But contentment for me has been something that's been a struggle with, especially my anxiety, because we live in a society, and I mentioned this in my last episode. We live in such a society now where we're very ambitious. We're very everything. Social media has really duped a lot of people into thinking that they have to. It's all about likes and retweets. It's all about how many followers you have. It's all about uh, how popular you are, being liked, and blah blah blah, and all this crap. You gotta have this amount of money by a certain age. You gotta have this job. You gotta marry by this age. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. You gotta look like this. You gotta act like this. You gotta talk like this. All these things are just basically programming people how to be, and people aren't really being their true selves. They're not. It's not very authentic, and I think a lot of times, last time I talked about patience, and I think now you're seeing just being content. People aren't content. They have a hard time being content. And I don't mean you don't have goals. One day I want to get to this X point, or I would like to get to this one day. I think, yeah, that's great. But you can't get from A to C without getting to B, if that makes sense. And so, you can't get from, it's almost like anxiety. It's hard. It's very hard to go from a bad place to a pleasant place mentally. So it's, for example, anxiety. If you're in a bad state of mind, you have real bad anxiety, you're very sensitized, panic attack, anxiety attacks, the whole nine. It's very hard to go from bad to pleasant. It's much easier to go from bad to neutral to pleasant. And to me, that's the more effective way long term. And it teaches you how to really balance out your mind mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and just throughout life. It's a great skill. And, but I think a lot of times people aren't content. They get very impatient. And, uh, like, for example, for myself is, let's say, okay, I'm a single person, I'm a single Christian. I've never dated. Uh, could I have dated in the past? Probably yes. I probably could have pursued some relationships, but at the time, I was going through my anxiety and just a lot was going on in my mind. I said, you know what? I don't want to do that to somebody right now. And I also don't, it's probably not best for me or that person or her right now, let's say, to do that. It's better for me just to focus on what I need to do. And I was just, and especially in years past, my anxiety is really bad. I wasn't in the state of mind I just had way too much going on. You know what I mean? And so, but for a single, a lot of times you can get very impatient because you want to find somebody. You feel like you need somebody in a relationship. You need somebody to. You feel like something's missing. I got to get married and yada yada yada. Have kids. Uh, but a lot of times, being single is actually a great place to be. And Tony Evans is one of my probably my favorite pastor right now. He's a very famous preacher. And I listened to one of his sermons yesterday. It's a 2-part series I listened to, and he was talking about this with singles and being content, but also using the single period you're in as an opportunity. And what he means is a lot of times, uh, we're so focused on what we want and what we think we need. We're not focused on the Lord. We're not content in our own life. And when you're content in your own life, you feel, and you're, I guess the best way to describe it is when you're content, it means you're very satisfied. You don't need any more. You don't need less. You're very neutral almost. Like I said mentally earlier, you're neutral. You're very, every day is a good day. You got everything you need. The Lord has provided for you. You're hopeful. You're working towards the things you want in the future. But you're very content. You're very pleased. You're good. You know what I mean? You're just good right now, and uh, that's a great place to be because when you get to that point, and especially when it comes to anxiety, uh, it's the best way to describe this is when you get to that point when you're very content, you're very, I mentioned something. You want to get to a point on this journey where you're pleasantly alone, when it's just you and God, and pleasantly alone is you can handle these things because ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to do the work in anything in life. It starts with you. If it doesn't start with you, if you don't put in the work, you think other people are going to come in and help you do that and do the work for you. You're never going to get anywhere. You have to do the work. You got to be honest with yourself and you got to be real with yourself. And when you get to that point of being pleasantly alone, you're very content, but you're very at peace. And something I've gotten to in the last month and I'm working on more, just being in my Bible more, is really focusing on the Lord and what the Lord wants me to do right now. I'm not focusing on, uh, who I could, will I date one day, or thinking about that, or being impatient with that, or, uh, you know, other future goals I have, maybe with this podcast, or just in life in general, financially, or whatever it is. I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on what the Lord wants me to do right now. This is a great opportunity for me right now to grow myself, to help myself grow, uh, and to work on myself, but to also get to a place where I'm complete. I'm already complete. I don't need somebody to complete me. I'm complete through Christ, and through God, I have that completeness almost. I'm whole. I don't. If I have God, what more do I need? And so I think, and Tony talks about this in the sermons, just like that. You get to a place where you're so focused on God's will for you and what He wants you to do, you're doing the work and you're uh, doing the Lord's work, you get to a point where you don't really, like I just said, you're complete with God. You're complete through God, and when you have that feeling, man, it's like you're just individual. I mean, it's your self empowerment is just like through the roof. And a lot of times, eventually, when you get to that place, when you're ready and you've gone through a lot of trials and you've gone through them, and the Lord's put you through those trials to help make you stronger and to get you ready for future plans. A lot of times, people like that, they've end up finding the Lord brings that person He has planned for them into their life, and happens at the right time. His timing's perfect. A lot of times His timing is a lot different than ours. It's so, and I've learned that in my own life. But I think just being content with what you have, where you are. Yes, you might want to. You wish things were better some days. You have good days, you have bad days. But at the end of the day, you got a roof over your head, you got water, you have food, you have clothes, you have a bed to sleep on, and you know you have clean air to breathe. What more do you need? And don't. It's very easy, guys, to get so rushed and off track, and it happens to me a lot. Where that's why I think praying, not just praying before meals, praying throughout the day, and just uh, reading your Bible throughout the day is so important because it keeps you in tune with the Lord all day long. It's not just something you do at a certain time. It's who you are throughout the day, and it keeps your focus singular on Him. And it's very hard to get off track. And so, for me, that's where I've been working on with that. I think and I've seen the way I've felt in the last month, really, since I've been starting to do that more and more. I just feel a lot more whole and just a lot more like complete and just very content with me. And do I have days where I get impatient? Yes, everybody does. But I'm able to refocus myself, be honest with myself, and pray to God, get back my word more, and focus on what I need to be focusing on, which is what He wants me to do now and helping myself grow and also being a light to others through this podcast or in real life. There's people I'm helping out in real life right now that have bad anxiety, people that are really close to me. And so that's what I'm focused on. And I think you got to stay focused on it especially when it comes to healing anxiety, because, and I've talked about this in previous episodes. If you're somebody who just your emotions, you allow your emotions to be played with by outside, uh, either people or advertise or whatever it is, by outer things, it's gonna be a rough time for you to heal because you could be persuaded really easily. You're allowing yourself to just be drained all day by things on the outside, and you're focusing on things that really don't matter. Nobody cares what much money you make. Nobody cares about any, or just uh, who you are, or I guess what I'm trying to. Nobody cares how much money you make or what you look like, or all the things that's aesthetically pleasing. Nobody cares. People who truly love you will accept you for who you are, and they love you for who you are. They don't want to change you. They want to help you grow. And when it comes to like a relationship or whatever, that's somebody I want to be with. I'm not going to be with somebody that wants to change me for because they think it's what's aesthetic or what the world says you should be, or social media this and that and blah blah blah, and just you know they just want to be in a relationship just so they can just to be in a relationship because they don't feel complete because they got their own insecurities. And then it's like if you have a good egg and a bad egg in a relationship, a lot of times this is why a lot of relationships, especially people my age, don't really pan out. They don't have real good relationships like they think. It's because the bad egg a lot of times influences the good egg in a negative way. And when you have a good egg and a bad egg, the bad egg's going to spoil the other egg. When you have two bad eggs together, well, what's the result going to be? Bad. So, but when you have two good eggs and it happens organically and at the right time, just and a lot of what I was talking about, just letting God take you there and let Him take you there by you focusing on Him and doing his work. He's going to take you there in time. It will happen. And so, but you have to stay focused on what's important right now. And that's, like I said, it's being content with growing you, helping yourself grow, working on yourself and doing the Lord's work. And so, you know, that's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And just, I see so many people with anxiety. It's just like, man, they can't settle down. Their mind's always racing because they're never satisfied. They feel that they can never be satisfied with themselves because they feel like they're never good enough. And, uh, that's a feeling of, that's a place that's just like, it's never ending. And if you allow yourself to stay there, you have to be honest with yourself and get out of that place, you know. And like I was saying a couple minutes ago, surround yourself with people that are kind of like minded with you. People that, like I was saying, accept you for who you are. They don't want to change who you are. They want to help you grow from where they met you and beyond. You help each other grow. That's a real relationship. That's a real love, organic, just natural. I mean, that's a real relationship. I mean, a friendship or a dating relationship or whatever it is, coworker. You help each other grow. People that, like I said, accept you for who you are, and you accept them for who they are. And who you surround yourself with is very key. If you surround yourself with crappy friends or people, or that don't really have the core values that, and I'm not saying here, I have a lot of people I know that I love that don't have the same beliefs as I do, but they don't try to change me, and I don't try to change them. We talk, have good dialogue, good healthy conversations, but we help each other grow. But we don't. I don't really. The people I surround myself with the most don't try to change me and inject their beliefs into me. We accept each other for who we are. That's why we love each other's company, right? And so, but if you have people that try to change you and try to make you into something that they want you to be, uh, probably not going to work out well. For at least, and definitely not for you. You're just draining yourself. I mean, why? And why, you got to ask yourself, why do I subject myself to this every day, or to this stuff? Like, why? Is this helping me grow? Have I gotten away from who I really am? Uh, have I gotten away from what I know my values are that I was taught growing up? I've seen a lot of that. Uh, you know, I've seen a lot of people I knew that grew up in a nice home or nice family, had the right values at church, and they've gone away from home, and now they are not the same people. And they've over time, they've been pulled away more and more from their faith, from God. And they believe anything they see now. They are so easily persuaded to believe anything the world tells them. And that's right up the devil's alley. I mean, if you allow that to happen, you are allowing Satan to play with your mind. And when you get in that place like that, it can go either way. And you get further and further away from the truth. And when you're further away from the truth, you're not in reality. And that's what I see a lot of people right now. But a lot of those people are very just, they don't have any peace. Uh, and that's why a lot of people have anxiety. There's just no inner peace, especially now more than ever. All the stuff going on now, there's no inner peace. And it's just, I mean, that's all I could say, really. I mean, there's no other way to put it in the way I have. And so, find that place of contentment, find that belief in yourself, and find that, just feel complete through God. And just when you get to that point, man, it doesn't matter what anybody tells you, what anybody says about you. Uh, None of that stuff matters because you're good with you and God. And that's just a great place to be. And you're just at peace, and you just trust and believe. And you kind of get like those feelings almost. And this is where I've gotten back to, especially recently. It's just get back to my faith more and more, just, you know, healing my anxiety more and more. and starting this podcast, just opening up has just been, it's got me back to a place where almost you get like those feelings like when you were a kid of just excitement, creativity, fun, and that's what it's a great place to be. It's good to have that childlike uh, creative side to you always. You should never get rid of that because that's really your true self. That's your fun. And that's where I am right now, man. But I wanted to share that with you guys because that's something I'm still working through. But I know a lot of people are working through, especially when it comes to anxiety. And so, you know, I hope this message helped you in some way when it comes to, like I said, with contentment and, all that good stuff and just being true to who you are and, just being true, but having that inner peace, like I said, just have that inner peace and just when you have that inner peace, man, there's just nothing that can. I mean, what more can stop you when you have when you're so at I mean, I keep saying it. If I'm repeating myself, that's a good thing, because uh, at what better place, what more can you ask when you're such a peace with God and just you have that inner peace in yourself and belief. I mean, what can stop you? And before I go, kind of drag this out a little longer than I wanted, but that's okay. Hold on 1 second. So I have this a little tight here. I wanted to read this verse to you guys real quick. It kind of talks about what I've been talking about. Where are we at here? 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 6 through 8. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. And then it goes on to talk about too about how the rich will fall into temptation and snare, foolish and hurtful lust, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil. And it goes on in this chapter. This is a great chapter. I mean, I love every chapter, but this is one of my favorites. I reread it again today because I knew I was going to talk about it. And trying to see. They that do good, verse 18, they that do good, that be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate. And again, that kind of First Timothy chapter 6 just goes back what I've just been talking about with contentment and just being whole through God. And so, if you're really struggling with that, that's a great book to go read right now. First Timothy 6. And so, yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm out of breath again. My mouth's dry again. That means it was a great episode for me, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. A lot of different topics today, but it's all good. Like I was saying, all right, I don't know what I'm saying now. I lost my train of thought. Oh, there we go. Anyways, like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell. I got future videos coming up. I got some interviews coming up with some guys. I got some cool things coming up. I'm really starting to grow this more and more, and I want to interact with you guys more. So feel free to comment below or send me a message if I know you on Instagram or Facebook, or you got my phone number, and let me know what more you want to see from this, and maybe some different things you want me to talk about or whatever. And so, yeah, man, that's all I got for today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.